Okay, good morning to everyone and welcome to our orientation about ISO 9001-2008 or the Quality Management System. So in the morning, we'll be having the orientation for the ISO, and in the afternoon, we'll have an orientation about the 1UP1 procurement system that being disseminated by the UP system as well. So to welcome us in this orientation, may I call on our Vice Chancellor for Finance and Administration, Dr. Jean Saludades.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, ADP Rañeses and your team. We welcome you to UPOU. This activity, ang purpose natin nito is, this is in line with the operational efficiency goal ng UP system. Katulad ng sinabi ni Mike kanina, yung pag-wear ng ID na to, this is part of being efficient. Why? Why did I say that? Halimbawa, yung security guard bago tayo na employee ng UPOU, hindi na niya kailangang mag-verify at mag-check pa sa kung saan mang opisina yun, kung ito bang taong to ay empleyado ng UPOU kasi meron siyang ID na the person is wearing the ID, and therefore yung time na ginagamit niya ng security guard pag-check, pag-verify, magagamit na yun in more productive work. So yun yung purpose ng activity natin na to, mas streamline yung mga processes ng UPOU, administrative offices. If you will remember yung sa third FIPO forum natin that we held 3 weeks ago, pinag-usapan natin doon yung mga procurement processes, policies and processes. So lahat ng mga activities na to is in line with making our operational processes more efficient, and thus we can serve our clients and our people whom we serve. Not necessarily, not I don't want to use the word client, but people whom we serve. They may be our clients, they may be our students, and there may be anyone who need help from the university. To make our work, our service to them more efficient, and that would meet the requirements or yung need ng that person who is coming to us for help. Now, ang purpose din nito secondarily is for us to qualify for the PBB 2014. Secondary lang ito for us. Why did I say that? Because nagiging reason natin na gawin natin yan kasi para mag-qualify tayo sa PBB, parang pangit pakinggan. Mas magandang gawin natin to kasi gusto natin na magkaroon tayo ng better service to our people who need our help, people whom we serve. Hindi, ano na lang yun outcome na lang yung PBB. To qualify for the PBB is just an outcome for us. So that's why I said it's a secondary for us. So we hope na itong gagawin natin today, you will take it to heart. I always say this in our flag ceremony. Yung mga ginagawa natin sa university, the flag ceremony, the service that we do for people, and the things that we hear from people who are supervising us. We take those things to heart because we want to serve our people. UP is a state university. Hindi ito, we're not for profit, we're here for service. So we hope that what we will be learning today from the team of AB Rañeses will result in a better service for our students primarily, and for other people whom we are serving in this university. So good morning, everyone, and thank you for coming.
Okay, our speaker for this morning and also this afternoon is actually has a more than 30 years of academic and professional experience in the area of system integration, total quality management, Lean Six Sigma, and process optimization, world-class manufacturing, enterprise-wide systems engineering, factory physics, and innovation management. And he has also a solid mastery of the Lean Six Sigma, TQM, and melded QFD, and TRIZ and VE. He is now the Assistant Vice President for Administration, the UP system, and also the Director of the Institute of Small Scale Industries. Dito yan lahat. An affiliate faculty of the Technology Management Center of UP Diliman, and also an Associate Professor of Industrial and Operations Research from the Department of Industrial Engineering and Operations Research at the College of Engineering, UP Diliman. And family and friends, let's all welcome our speaker, Professor Nestor Reñeses.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, VC Jean. And I'm very happy to be with you again. Actually, this is the third edition of our orientation on ISO. And I told our systems team that if we can have it standardized, so much the better. So we're doing this for the rest of the UP constituent universities. So we have done with UP Cebu, we're done with UP Baguio. We're scheduling the orientation today for OpenU, and we'll be going to UP Visayas on Thursday and Friday. And hopefully we'll be able to complete the rest with the big units like UP Manila, UP Diliman. UP Diliman has not started yet. Yet it's the biggest, but hopefully we'll be able to complete before the end of the month because we're supposed to submit the PBB report by November 26. Yan, inaano na naman, naghahabol na naman tayo as usual, which I think is not the real message of what the quality management system is all about. Today, we only have two simple missions. One is to ensure that we have a good understanding of what quality management system is. The second one is hopefully we can convince the OpenU to really strengthen this quality management system. We are doing a lot of things. In fact, we have so many initiatives, but it seems that these initiatives are taken independently when in fact they have to be integrated. This is what the whole UP system is all about. UP system is one UP, one university, one system. In other words, all of our practices, whether it be in academic, whether it's support, whether it's operations, whether it's public service, there should only be one UP. One UP in spite or despite of many diversity. One UP even in the face of diversity. Sabi nga, it's a multi-university, but we have one UP system. We are not anymore a state university. We have already graduated. Hindi na tayo kasama doon sa mga state university. National university na tayo. I think it's very important to recognize that. We are the only national university in the Philippines, which means that we are a class above the rest. So hindi na po tayo ng state yun, nawala na yung label na yun. National university na ang UP. So we're the only national university. Of course, kasama ko po si Gani later on in the afternoon. We would like to connect this to the one UP, one university, one procurement system as one example of how the quality management system should really resonate in every processes that we have, including wala nga lang mga faculty natin, but in fact, one of the most important academic processes that we have is the management of change. Just a simple question. How long does it take to modify or change our curriculum? Oh, that's good. That's good. Kasi that's part and parcel. We are a university. Our very core process is an academic process, which means the education of the students. Our products are our graduates. Our input are those students that go into Open University. So that's how the whole process should look like. Of course, we consider our students as our internal customers. But the external customers are those who use our graduates. So that's a fundamental way by which we look at this whole process. Of course, academic processes will not prosper unless they are supported by the support processes, the operational processes. So today, The QMS that we're trying to share with you today is anchored on the very fundamental core purpose of why the university exists. So I think that's very, very fundamental. And later on, we'll try to relate how this QMS could help us, especially in the current trajectory or the current strategy of the current administration in terms of where we want to go. The four fundamental uh, reasons why we have as defined in the Republic Act 9500, which is, of course, education, which is instruction, operational excellence, which is how we're going to do it, of course, the public service that we're really talking about. So we'll try to expound on that. So this morning, as I mentioned, our mission is for you to understand what QMS is all about. Not because it's required, but because it's one of the options by which we can improve UP as a national university of all freedom. I think that's very, very important. So I will spend the first 2 hours discussing one of these, and hopefully after that we can engage ourselves in a conversation. This is just a conversation. I hope we will not be as formal as possible, but we'll be as informal as possible. We would like everyone to ask questions. If you have questions, please do ask, and at the same time, we'll try to answer them to the best of our abilities, both from the point of view of theory and practice. Right? So, yan po tayo magsimula. And of course, greetings first from our unit, of course, from the Office of the Vice President for Administration, which is actually over uh, supervising and presiding over the Operational Excellence Initiative of President Pascual. And of course, from my own institute, the Institute for Small Scale Industries. Institute for my kind of Institute for Small Scale Industries. And of course, we are actually positioning ourselves as the National Institute for Entrepreneurship and Innovation. And we are also the ASEAN Center for Excellence for SME Development, Philippines. Of course, you know, ASEAN and APEC will be here next year. The Philippines will be hosting the 2015 APEC. And again, very, very important for us because it's an opportunity to show to the rest of the world that here is the Philippines and we are open for business. And we have been open for business for the longest time. And of course, we have a tagline. UPI carries a tagline, usaping pang negosyo, ilaw, salamin, at sandata ng industriyang Pilipino. Yun po ang tagline ng UPI and what that really means is that we are really positioning as the National Institute for Entrepreneurship and Innovation. UPISSI. Of course, what do we want to do today? So very quickly, muna, we just give you an overview of what quality is in the context of the university. Second, of course, we would like to understand what this QMS is all about. Ano ba itong ISO? And then later, we would like to look at what the requirements are. What are the requirements for us to really live the quality, the spirit as defined in the ISO? And later on, if you have some questions, we'll try to entertain as much as possible. And of course, the challenge for open new management is how are we going to use it as we move forward in the next years or so. Okay, I always carry with me my friend, and my friend is the monkey. Yeah, so the monkey, it will actually represent what we are here for, the key messages. And the first key message, of course, from the ISO way is being customer focused. We exist because of the customers. And hopefully the QMS will give us a very good understanding who the customers are. Sino ba ang customer ng Open University? Who are the customers of Open University? I think that's a very fundamental question that every organization should have a very good understanding on. Who are our customers? Why do we need to understand our customers? So that's one. Number two, discipline processes. Ang nasabi kanina ni BC Jean, we have many processes. Everything that we do is a process. And every process has a customer. Every process has a supplier. And if you connect the two, then you have a discipline process. What is a discipline process? You do it systematically. So that's what we call as a discipline process. So we have customer focus, we have discipline processes. Number three, of course, is continual improvement. There is no best way. There is always a better way. So very important message from the QMS standpoint. The best today is not the best tomorrow. If you always do what you always did, you will always get what you always got. It is insane to be expecting different results if we are doing the same thing all over again. Same people, same method, same environment, same procedure. Do you expect another result? No, because there's no change. Very important there. Continual improvement. And of course, continual improvement should be differentiated from continuous improvement. This is not an English course, but it's very important to distinguish between what continual is and what continuous is. Ano pagkakaiba ng dalawa? When you talk about continuous improvement, what is continuous improvement? Walang tigil na pagsulong, right? Samantala yung continual improvement, you can have a plateau. I mean, step by step. I can rest. Now, Opinio has achieved a certain level of performance. Rest muna kami ngayon. We'll wait for another period to do the other. So this is what we call as continual improvement. In other words, step by step. On the other hand, the continuous is that no rest. You continuously develop new ways of doing things, better ways of doing things. So that's the difference. But in the QMS sense, continual improvement is being encouraged at the minute. The fourth message is managing process change. Very important. How do you manage process change? How do you shepherd process change? We want to be a leader in distance learning. We want to be a leader in MOCC. How do you manage that? What is the process by which we shepherd and manage those change? So managing process change systematically is one of the key messages from this QMS. And finally, the fourth one, how do we solve problems? How do we solve problems that are organizational in character, that are strategic in character, that are operational in nature, or that even tactical in behavior? How do we solve it? According to QMS, do it in a systematic way. Do it in a structured way. There are many ways of skinning a cat. But since we are really talking about science, we are here in a university where the basic behavior, the basic DNA is scientific in character. Therefore, you must have systematic or structured problem solving. So these are the key messages that you should take away after our conversation today. What are they? Customer focus. What's the second one? Yeah. Number 3? Yeah, continual improvement. Number 4? Yeah, managing process change. And number 5, systematic problem solving. So that means every one of us should be really talking about systematic problem solving. Because after all, when we solve problems systematically, the fundamental question that you answer is, what is the root cause of the problem? What's the root cause of the problem? If you aren't able to identify the root cause of the problem, chances are the problem will remain unsolved. So that's very fundamental, right? Very fundamental. So 5 key messages. Yeah. So what is the nature of quality? Let's start with the nature of quality here. What is really the nature of quality? By definition, there is only one very simple definition for quality: the absence of deficiencies. Quality is really nothing more than the absence of deficiencies. That means perfect, right? The first time, all the time, every time. No heartburns. But of course, we look at it in different ways. So what are those that we are really expecting from quality? One, of course, is you're exceeding customer expectations. Exceed, not only satisfy, but exceed customer expectations. What is that? I want my sweldo on time. I want my sweldo on time. That's a natural expectation, right? I want my record on time. I want to get my service record. How long does it take to get your service record? I want it on time, complete, without error. That is what it meant by exceeding customer expectations. And you have a wow feeling. What is this wow feeling? Wow! Wow! Napapawaw talaga kayo. That is what we call as exceeding customer expectations. In reality, for instance, we're not just talking about exceeding customer satisfaction. We are actually talking about what we call today as being customer obsessed, customer obsession, customer ecstasy. So maybe you look at some of those terms in a different light. But in the context of quality, that is what quality is all about. If the customer is ecstatic about what we provide as services, then you have achieved what quality is all about. Quality is always in the eyes of the customer. Kahit sabihin mo, UP is the best university, tayo nagsasabi nun. Do you think it's credible? It's not going to be credible unless our customers say so. Very important dimension for quality. Right? Number one yan. Number two, DNA one organization is already given. We consider ourselves as the best university. But do we provide the best services? Do we produce the best researches? Do we produce the best public service? Do we produce the best publications? Do we produce the best students? Ayan ang sinasabi. Diba? Given. We are a center of excellence. Excellence in all the things that we produce. Ayan ang DNA. Sabihin, ano yung culture natin? Excellence is second to none. So everything that we do is actually excellence. Yan. So very important. And of course, assuring quality systematically. What is assurance? Diba? Maraming terms yan. Meron kayong assurance, meron kayong insurance. Ano bang pagkakaiba ng dalawa? What is the difference between assurance and insurance? What's the difference between insurance? Do we do quality insurance? Do we do quality assurance? Do we do quality design? Lahat yun. When you talk about QMS, we're really talking about all of them. Ano ba yung insurance? Ito yung mga ginagawa natin when you're doing your work. When you write a memo, for example, when you write a report, what are the insurance activities that you do? That one, tama yung mga contents ng report. By the way, in academic language, you call that quality control. That's quality insurance. Quality assurance, on the other hand, are those things that you do well ahead in order to guarantee that services and products are without error. So that's actually prevention. O yun ang tinatawag na quality assurance. All those preventive activities that you do in order that services and products are according to customer expectations. So assuring quality systematically. Systematically. The keyword there is systematically. Very important. Then the other one is prevention culture. Prevention culture. Like later on, asa na si Mr. Gani? I think last year, in one of the board meetings, he said, lahat ng mga diploma ng UP standardized. By the way, lahat ng diploma natin yan standardized na. One UP, one diploma. Unfortunately, until today, we have not even given the diplomas to the students. Kailan ba dapat ibinibigay yun? On the day of graduation. But we're not giving the diplomas on the day of graduation. Why is that? Because the processes are not yet done correctly. Okay, tamo, mag-graduate na. Bukas ang graduation. Nag-approve pa rin ng candidates for graduation. Okay ba yun? Of course, it's not okay. And we are not able to give the diplomas on time because of that process. What is wrong? I remember when I graduated, I got my diploma immediately during graduation. Eh ngayon, kita mo, pag-December na, hindi pa natin nabibigay yung diploma. Is that excellent service? No, no, there's something wrong. There is something very wrong in the whole process. Hanggang ngayon, hindi pa namin nagagawa. Kami po ang nag-procure ni Gani. Ngayon, hindi pa rin nagagawa. Kasi pinapatranslate sa Tagalog lahat. O katulad sa opinion, asan si Mr. Gani? Paano natin itatranslate yung Faculty of Management sa Tagalog? Lahat yung pinapatagalog. Pinapakatagalog lahat. So, nahirapan kami. Kailan pumunta doon sa linangan ng wikang pambansa para i-translate nila. Para common for all. O kaya isa yun sa mga reasons why I think yung opinion hindi pa rin na napiprint yung ating diploma. But nevertheless, this is a classic example of how we are talking about quality in the university. Well, of course, we're not actually talking about it right now. But again, the process is not yet there. Wala pa. So very important. That is a classic example. And what does QMS tell us? Do something so that next year, hindi na mangyari. If your graduation is going to happen in May, dapat nakahanda na lahat. And how do we do it? O para doon sa aming department, meron kami isang course doon. Isang course, 33% of the students are failing. 33%. So ang sabihin, pagpasok pala ng estudyante, if I have 100 students, 33 of them will fail. Ano yun? Maraming prerequisite. O sigurado ka, pag bumagsak ka doon, late ka na agad ng isang semester or isang year at the most. Are we doing something about it? I don't know. But again, under a QMS culture, you have to understand why are the students failing? Is it because the students are not intelligent? Or is it the teacher? Or is it the subject matter? Or so and so. How many students graduate on time? How many of our students are graduating on time? From the point of view of quality, we are being challenged to ask those questions. Because by simply asking the question, if only 50% are graduating on time, what are we wasting? We're wasting resources. We're wasting resources. Parang sa admission, how many people take the UGCAP? Para makita niyo yung mga numbers in order to do this. How many students, how many high school graduates are taking the UGCAP? Last year, for example, 82,000. 82,000. How many do we admit? Mga 12,000. So itingnan nyo, 12,000 over 82,000, that's how many percent? Very small, right? How many do show up? How many of them show up? Yeah, how many show up? How many shows up? Yan. But those are numbers, very important numbers, because it will help us understand how we can improve our performance. Yan. Yan yung papasok sa mga ganyan. Right? That means the expectation for quality is different from the usual way we do things. We have to challenge the way we do things. And that has something to do with prevention culture. And of course, really going into right the first time. Yan, very important mindset. Diba? It always starts with the mind. Quality is always starting with the mind. Yan, very, very important. And of course, the most important philosophy, there is no best way. There is always a better way. And that normally manifests itself into what we call as innovation. So early on, I said the classic definition of quality is absence of deficiencies. Today, it has another dimension, and that is innovation. So innovation, what is innovation? Bringing something different. Something different. Something new, and something significantly better. Something significantly better. Like for instance, we are in OpenU. Studies in the US on OpenU, especially on MOCCs, are actually in high gear in terms of our MOCCs better than the usual way of doing of educating people. There are many, many ways by which it can be done. But that is in the spirit of continuous improvement. So very, very important. Look at the nature of quality. The nature of quality is not only achieving a condition of no deficiencies, but in fact, promoting and bringing something new to the customer with the intent of creating customer ecstasy. Look at the outcome. The outcome is customer ecstasy. So some very quick quality terminology here. Quality control is correction. The one doing the work is responsible for quality control. So every one of us has a quality responsibility. Every one of us. Your security guard has a quality responsibility. All our people in OpenU, from the chancellor down to the lowest level, has a quality responsibility. Number two, quality assurance. What is quality assurance? You prevent it from happening. How do you make sure that all our processes are regular? All our processes are, in fact, defect-free. Anything that you do in order to prevent those is basically within the province of what we call as quality assurance. If you put them together, you will have quality management or total quality management. So this is quality management, designing customer satisfaction and continual improvement. The system by which you make it happen is now what we call as total quality management, or TQM for that matter. Or TQM for that matter. This is a quality lever to indicate, for instance, what's the value? What is the added value of doing quality management in a university like UP? Marami. It will really promote our quest for academic excellence. It will actually advance our trajectory for operational excellence, and it will actually bring us closer to the publics that we're actually serving. So there are actually 4 classes of quality that we're really talking about. The first level is what we call as quality control. The second level is what we call as quality assurance. The third level, of course, is what we call as quality engineering and quality by design. Of course, in the context of the university, what are these? So this is the service. In manufacturing, we call it manufacturing, but it's basically in our case, we're talking about servicing. So services. And again, if you look at those numbers, what those numbers indicate is what is the benefit that you get. Quality control, the expected benefit is 1:1. What does that mean? If I invest 1 peso, the return is another peso. Quality control. But if we're talking about quality assurance, where the purpose is you look at your processes, you improve on your processes, the payoff is 10:1. For every peso invested, you will actually have a return of 10 pesos. If you go down the ladder, then the investment is much higher. Like in OpenU, if you compare OpenU with the rest of the usual classical way of teaching, that is actually a game changing. The payoff is actually what? From 100x to 1000x. And that is where we are trying to go into. We are actually trying to produce value-added services that are going to produce more with less. So quality drives productivity. More with less. Right? Very important relationship there. That quality is a driver for productivity. Doing more with less. In fact, if you look at the OpenU version, you'll find out that if you quantify the OpenU version, it is much more cost-effective than the usual conventional way of doing it. And that is in the realm of quality by design and design engineering. We just call it engineering because that's the process of creating something new. But it is really nothing more than innovation. Right? So that's the quality level. And you will see later on how QMS will go into that picture, the total quality management. Because today, when you talk about QMS, it's always in the context of total quality management. Total quality management. So what is the total quality management? In very simple term, what is it? It is a system by which we do things right the first time, every time, all the time. But that's the total quality management culture. Doing things right the first time, all the time. That's why in procurement data, Mr. Gane will share with you that the aim is to do bidding right the first time. No failure. That's what quality is all about. It's like also with our students. Why do we want to fail students? Why do we want to fail students? Because that's the culture before. Professors are being known if they fail students. Faculty are being known because what they have written, nobody can understand. Or they are terror. Of course, that's the law. That's the law of statistics, right? People never appreciate the average. You only appreciate the extremes. The worst and the best. Tingnan nyo. Sino bang na-remember ng mga professors? Yung mga terror. Saka yung magagaling. Yung mga nasa gitna. Hindi na nakikita rin yan. I don't even remember your professors who are on the average. They only remember that the teachers are very, very good or are very, very poor. Because of the law of statistics. Yan. So, what's TQM? Time, quality, money. That's what TQM is all about. We have to manage time. Everything that we do as a process is a question of managing time. From end to the beginning. Right? The second one, of course, is doing it right. Disciplined process. That's why it's not quality. And why is money? It's waste. Waste is anything that does not add value. Redundant processes. Things that are being repeated. Things that are actually convoluted or very confused. So all of these, for instance, are waste. That's why if you do it right, you actually contribute to elimination of wastes. And what are wastes again? Activities that do not add value to the end user. Very important. In fact, that's one of what QMS is trying to do. Eliminate waste in all the processes that we have. Very, very important there, right? So what is the TQM culture? What is the culture that we're talking about? The culture is the sum total of our attitudes and our behavior. The way we behave, the way we respond, the way we connect to our customers is a manifestation of what we call as the TQM. And a lot of them, for instance, are anchored on, again, look at this, the customer. The customer. Very, very important. Customer focus. And all of them are connected to all the things that we can control. People, process, procedures, policies, all of them. Of course, my monkeys is even easier because I can actually represent them by all the M's that we know. And this is all about managing the 8 M's. Yeah, look at them because very, very important. And of course, we talk about the wastes. And the waste, a lot of them are anchored on things that should have been there, but we're doing it. And they have to be understood, they have to be quantified, so we can actually work on them. Yeah. So, quality, in very simple terms. So I have an acrostic for you. Quality. Quickly understand and act on losses, innovatively for best yield. In other words, what it really means is that quality is not an end result. Quality is embedded throughout the whole process, from start to finish. So quickly understand and act on losses for best technical yield, which is productivity. Right? So the quality that we're really talking about is all about understanding the whole process, doing something about it, and getting results out of it. So that's an acrostic for you. And of course today, because QMS is an example of total quality. Total quality. Total means from start to finish, from top to bottom, everyone is involved. It's a team. Together, everyone achieves more. That's the meaning of team. Together, everybody accomplishes more. So that's basically what total quality is. Transformation. It's the transformation in the way we work, the way we think, in what we value and reward, in the way we measure success. all of us working together in order to achieve a common unified goal of academic and operational excellence in a sustainable manner. So that's what we're talking about here. All of us collaborate to design and operate a seamless value-adding system, all optimizing for a common purpose. So that's what TQM is all about, right? TQM is the art and science of managing our organization for excellence. So that's what TQM is all about, right? So the total quality model is transformative. It is not evolutionary. It is not revolutionary. It is transformative. It's in between, right? Kasi if you want to make a change, there are so many ways to effect a change. But the so-called total quality management is actually in the middle of being evolutionary and revolutionary. It is all about transformation. So that is the reason why our leaders are being called upon to be real change leaders. Change leaders, very important there, right? Yeah. What you will see in the next few slides are the legal basis for QMS. So you understand where we're coming from. Ito tayong tinatawag na Government Quality Management System Standard. So the GQMS. So ano yung mga nandito? Yung mga batas. So one, of course, is the Republic Act number 913. Republic Act 1913. This is the Philippine Quality Award. So an act establishing the Philippine Quality Award in order to encourage organizations in both private and public sector to attain excellence in quality in the production or delivery of their goods and services. Republic Act 9013. But this is not ISO. This is the Philippine Quality Award, an organizational excellence model. But this is TQM. O, ito yung pinaka-latest. Universities who have aligned themselves to the Philippine Quality Award are the private universities. Yung isa, yung Pink University. Yung Pink University. CEU. Of course, CEU is being headed by former Dr. Padulina. Siyang champion for the Philippine Quality Award in CEU. Of course, the other one is here in Region the Calabar Zone, LPU. Ano ba yung LPU? Lyceum of the Philippines University. O, nandun din sila. Lyceum is actually in there. The state universities, masyado kasing mayabang yung mga state universities. So they are not aligned, but there is a Republic Act that encourages us to go into a formal quality excellence model, courtesy of Republic Act 1930. Yeah. And this was promulgated on February 28, 2001, but it was started much earlier. Executive Order number 605 in 2007. Ano bang sinasabi nito? Institutionalize the structure, mechanism, and standards to implement the Government Quality Management Program. Yan, ito yung talagang pinanggalingan ng mga QMS natin. Yung Executive Order number 605, which was promulgated on February 2007. The second one is DBM Circular Letter number 2008-8, which was also promulgated in 2008. National Guidelines on Internal Control System. Chapter 3, Components of Internal Control, but focusing on QMS. So, mayroong batas. So, yun nga lang, implementation as usual is always one thing. Ayan, mayroong pang isa. DBM Circular Letter number 2011-05, which is actually new. The Philippine Government Internal Audit, where there is also a generic module on controls in QMS. Ayan. So, DBM Circular number 211-5. In addition, mayroon tayong number 6 letter, GCG. Ito yung government corporate, the GOCCs. Kasi tayo parang kasama tayo sa GCG. Kaya mayroon tayong GCG Circular number 2013-2, which was promulgated April 29 last year. Number 6 letter, E, Government Quality Management System Standards, pursuant to Executive Order number 605-207.
yung kaninang sinabi. So there is actually some legal standing on the QMS. So, those are the legal basis for this. And today, as already mentioned by BCG, ang pinaka-immediate trigger natin, because it's now a requirement of PPP 2014, itong direction towards implementing total quality management system in all government agencies. If you are really applying for the PBB, else you will not be qualified. So hence, this orientation that we have. Our commitment for the PBB 2014 is at least 60% of all units, of all CUs. Kasi yung PBB is anchored on all for one for all. If one unit is not able to comply with the requirement, UP will be disqualified automatically. Ayun ang kailangan. That's why we're making sure all campuses, all CUs, all units of the university complied with the 60% commitment. So kung 108 tayo, may 60% of 108, yun ang kailangan. So we're talking about what? 62 or 63 people to be compliant to the requirement of PBB. So kailangan ng attendance ni Michael and everything. That's evidence. Okay, now let's go to the QMS. Saan mga pinanggagalingan yan? Yan lang, napakasimple lang. It's actually anchored on this realization. For an organization to be really efficient and effective, the organization should do action systematically. So yun ang pinanggagalingan kayo, so napakasimple lang. Nothing important is left out. Everyone is clear about who is responsible for doing what, when, how, why, and where. So every one of us is not only the job description that we have, but the expectation that we have from the faculty to the research to the non-academic personnel, even to the security guard, even to our janitor. Yun ang sinasabi dyan. Everyone has a very clear understanding what the expectations are. Finally, management system standards provide organization with an international state-of-the-art model to follow. So this is where the ISO later will come. That we have a state-of-the-art, globally accepted, and practice across organizations throughout the world. Diyan po nanggagaling yung ISO. And what is a quality management system? A quality management system is really nothing more than the framework by which we do things. So it refers to the structure, the responsibilities, the authorities, the accountabilities, the processes, the policies, the procedures, and everything. So it's a management system. It's really a total management system. So it's a total management system. It's the way you run the university from top to bottom. So very, very important there. It is actually the way we run our affairs in the university, including directing and controlling and assessing how good we are. So the whole system from the usual management and leadership system. So that's the reason why it's called Total Quality Management System. Before, the ISO was also known as a quality assurance system. It has also already morphed into something else. It's now a total quality management system. So very important there. Very important to realize that. So again, what is ISO QMS? It is an international standard for quality management system. So it's an international standard. That means accepted by a federation of countries and economies all over the world. Number two, it covers the planning and management and operation of any organization, as I mentioned. It is totality of running the organization. And then finally, assuring customers of the kind of services and products that we provide. So it's really assuring a customer-focused way of managing the organization. So why ISO? Why ISO? Why ISO QMS? It has many benefits, externally and internally. Of course, the most important benefit is that a global benchmark. It's really a global benchmark. You can compare the operations of the university to a hospital. You can compare the operations of a university to a manufacturing facility or any other organization for that matter. So that's one very good requirement there. And of course, you can see is actually best practice and best processes across industries all over the world. Common language for dealing with customers. Of course, increasing efficiency and effectiveness. And finally, of course, is a model for continual improvement. So it's really a model for continual improvement. And in addition, you can see building quality in products and services into the design. We are not inspecting quality, we are building quality. That means when we design new curricula, when we design new processes, when we design new products and services, we are able to do it upfront. So the culture of prevention, the culture of design is there. So that's very, very important there. And finally, of course, in addition, we have the question of sustainability. A while ago, you talk about why organizations exist. In addition, of course, we're really talking about all of this, including sustainable business operations. And later, very, very importantly here, suppliers. That's the reason why this afternoon we're talking about procurement. Because inherent in a very good quality system is a very good recognition of how the suppliers are built into the whole supply chain of the university. So who are the suppliers? Who are the suppliers in the university? Of course, our suppliers. Our major suppliers are high schools. That's one of the major suppliers of the university. Where do we get our students? From high schools. That's one of the source of the supply, one of the sources. Of course, the other one are suppliers of material, where procurement will come. So very important there. And of course, conformance to regulations. We are a government agency. Even if we are a state university, we are not independent of the government. We are actually governed by regulations. And regulations are mandatory. And the way regulations are mandatory, standards are voluntary. Like the ISO is voluntary. But once it becomes regulation, it becomes mandatory. You must comply. So very, very important. So very important distinction between a standard and regulation. Yeah. So what are the internal benefits to us? Now, if we go internally, why should we go into ISO QMS when we have all of these standards already being used by AUA and in the others? Do we need to have a redundant system like ISO QMS? Of course, there are benefits. So these are the positives. Why should we go into it? One, waste, elimination of waste. By going into a discipline QMS, the expected outcome is you will be able to challenge waste in our processes. Number two, improve efficiency and effectiveness, right? We can do things much faster. That's the reason why we're talking about time. How long does it take to process this? How long do you have? How long does it take, for instance, to settle your cash advances? How long does it take, for instance, to get reimbursements and so on and so forth? That's efficiency. How long does it take for a new staff to get his first salary? In opinion, how long does it take? A week. That's good. If that's true. If that's true, I left the university in 1997. When I came back in 2008, I got my first salary after 4 months. Same. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. In the private sector, for example, if you don't get your first salary during the first 2 weeks, that's already a cardinal sin. But not in UP. In UP, you get it after 4 months or 6 months. Ah, not in OpenU. That's good. That's why I would like OpenU to be the model. If OpenU can do it in 1 week, wow, that should be the model for the rest of the university. That's why we would like OpenU to be the model. because you are IT enabled. Because technology will be the greatest differentiator. That's why OpenU has the biggest opportunity to set the lead or become the leader in operational excellence in UP. Because you have the differentiator in your hands. The other units don't have that kind of opportunity. I hope you can have that opportunity. We have to have leaders. We have to have models in the university that we can multiply. By the way, that's what we call as internal benchmarking. I hope that kind of culture could be multiplied here in the university. So, fewer complaints. Dapat nga, zero complaints. Instead of complaints, what do we get? What do we want? Compliments. Convert complaints into compliments. Compliment should be the name of the game, not complaints. Culture of problem prevention and continuous improvement. Culture of innovation and excellence. After all, that's what UP is all about. What is UP is all about? What is our culture? Honor and excellence. Diba? Kagalingan at kausayan. Kagalingan at kausayan. Husay at tangal. That should be the one common thing that should really define every one of us in this room. Pag sinabing taga-UP ka, husay at dangal. Di ba ganun talaga yun? Excellence. Honor and excellence. Nothing more, nothing less. Honor and excellence. So, yan dapat yan. And then, of course, focus on customer service and business results. What does that mean? Who are our customers? What are the results that we're really talking about? Very important. These are the internal benefits of really going to an ISO QMS system. Maybe not ISO, but later on you'll see that there are many other choices. Okay, the ISO is anchored on 8 basic principles. Yan. So, anchored on 8 principles. So, yung pinanggagalingan is not actually from atmosphere. Sa pananggaling, ISO na yan. Mayroon namang pinanggagalingan. It's actually anchored on the 8 quality management principles. And that principle is anchored on this. Customer focus, leadership, process approach, systems approach to management, management by facts, fact-based decision making, and of course the most important later here is the mutual beneficial supplier relationships. I mean, we cannot exist without suppliers. What if there are no high schools? Where do we get our students? Of course, from other colleges. In fact, that's what we're trying to do today. We're actually graduating into a graduate university. That means our definition of suppliers are already changing because of Republic Act 9500. So very important recognition there, right? So very important. So, where is that 8 management principle coming from? From this very simple recognition from ISO 9004-2000 clause 4.3. Na sinasabi, to lead and operate an organization successfully, it is necessary to manage it in a systematic and visible manner. Ano sinasabi? It is necessary condition. One necessary condition is to ensure that we manage it in a systematic and visible manner, otherwise known as transparency. Di ba? Transparent. The processes are transparent. The processes are systematic. Therefore, they are repeatable. Kaso nga lang, kung nauulit mo, instead na umikli, ay humaba, ay something is very wrong. Kasi supposedly, kung systematic, where learning curve is there, it should be faster. Eh kaso kung slower, ay something is very wrong. Diba? Something is very wrong. That means you have to examine it and show why and what can be done to improve it. Ayan, diba? Very simple. O, saan ang gagaling yun? Ito po yan. Ito na ngayon yung kanilang, ito na yung the 8th quality management principle. Customer focus. The customer is king. The customer is always right. But of course, we always say, that's not true. But in fact, that's true. Evening classes. We use the power. We use our power to terrorize our students. But that's not our mission. What is the mission of a teacher? Why are we called professors? Because we profess. What do we want to do? To make them learn. If they're not learning, we fail as a professor. Diba? Tama yan. Of course, some people will always disagree. That's okay. But the point is, at the end of the day, what did the student learn? If the students did not learn, we fail. So anyway, so what is the customer focus? These are some of the behavioral anchors. A principle is nothing unless you're able to translate that into behavioral anchor, something that we can see, something that we can feel, something that we can measure. So ano sinasabi? We depend on our customers. We depend on our students. We depend the on the publics that use our graduates. We should understand current and future customer needs. What are the current customer needs? Like in curriculum design. Are we engaged the customers in the curriculum design? That's not even part of the curriculum design. We're still the one determining. It's so supply-oriented. Ano ba kailangan ng industry? For example, BPM. Look at BPM, which OpenU should actually be taking advantage of. BPM is a sunrise industry. It's already employing almost 1 million. Ang employment niya is almost 1 million, 900,000 plus. And it's growing very, very fast at 25 to 30% every year. Are we missing? Are we encouraging? Are we in there? Diba? That's very, very good. That's very, very good. Because IT will be really the differentiator. We should be producing more IT professionals. We should be producing more open new graduates that will really address the needs of the IT BPM industry. Diba? They want to call them BPM rather than BPO. Sabi nila, does not really define the industry. We would like to be known as the business process management industry, which is fantastic, by the way, because the investment is low, the industry could prosper, and we can produce many, many creative entrepreneurs out of them. And that's what the customer focus is all about. We should be actively looking at them. And again, look at this. We should meet customer requirements. We should strive to exceed customer expectations. That's what the principles say. Engage the customer in the design of new courses. Engage the customer in determining how good our graduates are. In fact, that's what the requirement of the PBB is. How do we measure how good our graduates are? Is there a systematic way by which we determine? Diba? Of course, marami namang data. Nagsabi ng mga taga-UP, in less than 3 months, may trabaho na. But of course, that's in terms of employability. But are really employed to the skills that they were trained for? We don't know because we don't know the data. Yung mga engineers ba natin, natin, are they really doing engineering work? We don't know. Kasi wala naman tayong system. There is no system that UP is using to do that. We do not even know whether you're happy or not. Are you happy? Wala eh. Walang internal customer satisfaction happiness in UP. Guns, do we have that? Have we done that ever seen? Wala. That's part of the QMS. Maybe opinion can start it by doing an online. Parang what page online? What is the happiness level of UP personnel today? Nobody can answer that. Kasi wala namang data. No one. Mike, you start that. Asan na si Mike? Internal customer satisfaction. HR is the facilitator. Madali lang yun, no? Gawin lang. One page. Pag nag-answer kayo, bibigyan kayo ni BCG ng free snacks. Oh, di ba? Di ba? Kasi kung hindi kayo sasagot. Parang si ano dati yan, si Chowking. Para determine kung okay kayo hindi, kailang i-text. Ano kayo? Swerte. Ba't ako magbabayad? You're taking information from me and you want to get it free. Wala po yun, di ba? Di ba? Kahit yan sa Chowking dati, mag-fill up kayo ng survey, tapos i-text daw. Ano po, magbabayad? Supposedly, akong babayaran dapat ng choking kasi you get information from me. That's how you do it. That's not very professional, my bro. In many industrialized countries like the US, pag pinagkuha kayo ng survey, binabayaran. Kasi it's professional time, right? You want good data? You have to do it professionally. Although some will say, hindi pwede yan. Kasi pag-contaminate yung result ng data. Good or bad? Not necessarily. But what is being recognized there is that I'm getting your time. I have to pay for your time as a customer. That's what customer is. Diba? Yan, kasama yan sa customer focus. So, very, very important to recognize that. Leadership. Anong important ng leadership? Of course, leadership is the one that drives. It's the hammer. Without leadership, nothing will move, right? Only a group with power can make the change. Yan ang pinanggagalingan ng leadership. It's very important. We establish unity of purpose and direction. That's why you have your vision, your mission, your core values, your strategic objectives, in the quality policy. O sige nga, what the vision statement of OPNU? Oh, what is the mission statement of OPNU? Oh, yan talaga ang nangyayari in reality. We write so many mission statement, we do not even relate to it. Hindi ka makarelate. Hindi kayo makarelate, kaya wala ang dating. Walang arrive, useless. I will tell you it's useless. Useless. Parang gumagawa lang. What is the vision statement? What is the mission statement? Wala. Nobody can even remember. So, sabihin, we cannot relate. Hindi pwede yan sa QMS. Sa QMS, dapat nandito. Makita nyo si Mr. Steve Jobs. Anong sabi? What is Mr. Jobs? Anong sinabi ni Mr. Jobs when he talk about Apple? A computer in the hands of everyday people. Very simple. Ano ba ang mission daw ng Apple? To provide a computer in the hands of everyday people. How many words? Computer, hands, everyday people, 4 words. Tayo, tingnan nyo yung mga vision and mission statement. Hindi nga nyo ma-remember. You can't remember it. Nare-recall. O sige, recall. Yun ba yung vision? Review natin mamaya. Pero importante kasi yung keyword. Di ba keyword? O parang Disneyland. O Disneyland. O happiest place on earth. Yun lang yan. O napakasimple. Happiest place on earth. 3 words. Yan, ganun lang. Oo, dalawa. Di ba? Tama actually yun. Some keywords. Yan. Kita mo. Kasi ngayon napaka-ano na, di ba? Ang importante kasi ng vision mission, lahat ng stakeholders nakaka-capture ng puso nila. Di ba parang Enchanted Kingdom? Enchanted Kingdom, we're talking about Mr. Mamon, the owner of Mr. Kingdom. Sabi ko, Enchanted Kingdom. Why do you want to go to Enchanted Kingdom? Because you want to be enchanted. Kaso pinagpipila mo kung pinapahaba, I do not get enchanted. I get disenchanted. Di ba you want to go to Enchanted Kingdom? Pero pinagpipila ka, That makes sense. Di ba ganyan? Makita niyo yan ang sa leadership. Vision, mission, values. Anong values natin? Is it formally stated in our OPNU? What's the values? 3 H's. Di ba? May 3A and an H. 3A and an H. Kasi importante yung value. Bakit kailangan yung values? Because it defines our behavior. Di ba? Dapat tayo dapat. Dapat hindi lang deviate too much from honor and excellence. Yung honor, pag sinabing honor, anong sabi ng honor? Integrity. Kung anong sinabi mo, gagawin mo. Tatapusin ko yan by 5 o'clock, hindi ako aalis. Ay, hindi. Alas 5 naman, malis na ako. That's not commitment. Diba? Diba yan? Ganun dapat ang commitment. Yan. Pag sinabing tatapusin, kahit 1:00 ng umaga yan, gagawin ko. That's commitment. Do we have that? Yan. And of course, involvement of people. Number 3, involvement of people. Everyone is involved. It's team. Everyone is involved. Everyone. Ito naman talaga, kultura natin, di ba? Kultura ng UP is always consultation. Pag hindi ka nag-consult, sigurado ka. Wala yan. Actually, culture natin yan. Wala, di ba? Kailangan ma-consult. Kailangan lahat sila magsalita. Kaya napakatagal ng proseso natin. Processes in UP is too long, are too long. Because of this culture of consultation. Lahat dapat ma-consult. Of course, alam naman natin, what is the price of consultation? It is lost on the process. Pero kung kultura natin yun, ayos lang. Maybe there could be a better way of doing the consultation faster. Di ba? Yan ang kailangan doon. Kaya involvement of people. Involvement here today is, what the meaning is today, is engagement. Are we engaged? What is the level of engagement of OpenU? Gano'n ba kayo ka-engaged? That's the question. How engaged are we? And again, in the same tone that I have mentioned last time, wala kasi tayong measure ng internal happiness. Wala rin tayong measure ng engagement today. How engaged are UP people? How engaged are we? We don't have a measure. Ayan. So kasama yan dito sa challenge. Dapat daw ma-involve lahat. Because what we're trying to do is really a community of people working together. That's the concept of UP system. Diba? Yun ang concept ng UP system. And of course, the fourth one, very important. Ito yung pinanggagalingan ng systematic approach. The so-called process approach. Ano ba yung systematic process approach? The scientific method. The scientific method is the process approach. O, lahat pinanggagalingan. We are supposedly an organization where we have the best minds using science. Therefore, it follows that we should use the scientific method in doing problem solving. O, dito, of course, sa ISO QMS, ang inadapt nila is the so-called PDCA cycle. Yung PDCA cycle, which was borrowed from Mr. Walter Schuhart, popularized in Japan, and introduced to the rest of the world under the concept PDCA cycle. Ano yung PDCA cycle? Plan, do, check, and PDCA cycle. Ayan yung nandito sa process approach. The fifth one is the systems approach. Systems. Ano ba mong sabihin? Now we are a system. Ano ba mong sabihin ng system? Is a set of different parts, pero they're working together for a common purpose. So, ang sabihin, OpenU should synergize with the rest. Diba? For a whole system. So, in other words, all the things that we're doing here should really be harmonized with those of the bigger whole, which is the whole UP system. In all other campuses at the same, for the same matter. So, that's what we call by systems approach. The other one is all the common processes should really be harmonized and coordinated. So that's the meaning of that. And of course, number 6 is continual improvement. The permanent objective is to create permanent change. That is going to improve the performance of the university and in particular OpenU. And number 7, very important. Very important. Make decisions on the basis of data. Speak with data. So, ano sabihin ng data? Numbers. You have to be talking about numbers. So, for example, lang ha, how much is the budget of OpenU? How much is the budget of OpenU? Di ba? Dapat alam natin, di ba? How many students do we have? Yan. Si ma'am, wala yun. Eh, dapat alam natin yung mga numbers, right? Diba? We have to do numbers. Simple enough. Simple numbers. All the common numbers that we should be able to know. Dapat on top of our head. Kasi if we don't know numbers, what happens? Lagi tayong mag-argue. Parang si President, lagi nagko-complain. Kasi sabi niya, every time daw i-ask, how many staff? What is the staff size of UP? Kung sino daw ang kausap niya, iba-ibang number. What is the staff size of UP today? 12,500? 12,300? We don't know. Kasi nagbabago, we don't even know. So if those numbers keep on changing, do you think we will be credible? We will not be credible. Any number for instance that you give out na hindi credible, na mali, what will happen? People will not believe you. That's why it's very, very important for us to look at numbers. And that is what management by facts. Speak with data. Speak with data. And of course, by speaking with data, what will happen? We become more rational. Hindi na tayo nag-aaway-away. Di ba kasi may numbers? So look at the numbers. The numbers will speak for themselves. PPOy was telling me a while ago, 1 week ago, na yung UP Manila daw. UP Manila. BCG. Sabi niya, wow, ang dami daw publications ng UP Manila. Actually, number 1 daw yung UP Manila sa number of publications. But people never know. Never know about the publication. But they said, wow, dramatic daw talaga yung improvement ng UP Manila in terms of number of publications. But of course, again, some data kasi are not actually being shared. We are not proactively producing data that could actually influence our leaders and even our consumers to really respond on. Why do we want numbers? Diba? Why do we want numbers? Because those numbers will guide us. Oh, yan sa QMS required. We have to look at numbers. In fact, even your PPB numbers. Have you looked at your PPB numbers last year? Have we ever discussed it and then share what the meaning of those numbers are? Because if they're not actually being discussed, how can I respond? How do you think I can be part of it if I don't know the numbers? And actually, that is missing in most of the UP units. We never talk about numbers. We never talk about the actual performances that we should be doing. In fact, the SPMS later, as Mike will show, is part of this QMS. Because the SPMS is the measurement system by which we'll know how good the units are and how good the people are. If we implement it correctly. Kung tama yung implementation, it will be okay. Finally, of course, number 8 is supplier relationship. Very important. Mutually beneficial relationship. It has to be established with all our major suppliers. Our major source, high school, different colleges, even our suppliers from the procurement system. They are very important component of the success of the university. Very, very important. So, these are the 8 quality management principles that underpin the ISO QMS. What are they? Customer focus, leadership, involvement of people, process approach, systems approach to management, yan, continual improvement. Number 7 is what? Factual decision making. And finally, mutually beneficial relationship with suppliers. Ayan, dami na yung natutunan. Kaso lang, after 2 hours, nakakalimutan na yan. So ano ba itong ISO 9000? The ISO 9000 QMS today is version 2008. Ayan. Supposedly, every 5 years, binabago siya. But the next edition will be released by next year. The next edition will be released next year. Ano yan? It's a global benchmark. Ayan, global benchmark. Sabihin, international. And it's a benchmark for customer satisfaction. Customer satisfaction. Tapos, product quality in terms of reduction. And of course, yan. Of course, sa atin, hindi yan relevant kasi it was actually, thank you. It was actually measured or it was intended really for those that are producing physical products. But very, very easily can be converted to us in terms of the quality of graduates, for example, that we produce. Di ba? Do you know? Di ba? Do you know? Trivia muna. So many years ago, the percent of honor graduates in UP was below 8%. That means for every 100 graduate, only 8 graduate with honors. Eh ngayon, like sa Diliman, yes, sa lugar Diliman for example, ilan na ba sa Diliman ngayon ang gumagraduate with honors? Ilan na ngayon dyan sa gumagraduate with honors? O ilan ang gumagraduate with honors? For every 100, 25 of them will be graduating with honors. 25%. Is it good or is it bad? Good or bad? Gumagaling ba yung mga estudyante o bumaba itong mga teacher? Or both? We don't know. Pero alam dati ni Chancellor Saloma kung bakit. Why that drastic change? Pero mo, napakadami. Dati 8% lang eh. Ngayon, naging 25%. Why the change? Why the change? Of course, madali yun. Pag ginamitan mo ito ng mga prinsipyo na to, makikita mo yun kung bakit. And of course, one of the biggest drivers there was the change in our basic course program. The change that was made in the basic education program, the basic choices of students, where we allow the students to do their own choice. O siyempre, estudyante ko. Ano bang gusto nga hanapin mo? Siyempre, the easiest way to get an uno. O, di hanapin ko ngayon yung RGEP. Actually, so one of the findings of Chancellor Saloma's investigation was, yun yan, RGEP was the primary driver. So most of the students who graduated were students, for instance, who were getting grades of 1 in the RGEP. Eh, alam mo na may epekto ng 1, ang laki. Diba? So, you can see, what I'm saying is that, yung mga changes in the performances, kailangan ma-explain so that we can actually analyze and respond accordingly whether it's good or bad. And that is improvement that we're talking about. Nandito makukuha ngayon dito, yan ang sinasabi dito. We're not talking about defectivity level here. We're talking about levels of excellence. Levels of excellence. So, how do we go about this? There are several ways by which, how can you make it happen for you? Yeah, there are many choices. I mentioned a while ago that the ISO is voluntary. Must mean it's a choice that you have to make. The leadership should make a choice. Gusto ko bang mag-ISO? Like in UP Baguio, under the leadership of Chancellor Robelius, would like Ray, for example, said, we want to go to ISO. So we can actually implement and execute some of the benefits of operating under an ISO. So that's a choice that he has to make. That's the same choice, for instance, that UP, OpenU, could actually talk about and say, should we align ourselves to ISO? Aligning to ISO is okay. There's no cost in it. It's just a question of aligning. And we will call this as self-certification. So first-party certification. The other one, of course, is what we call as, okay, mag-align kami, but we'll ask somebody, maybe from the outside, to do it for us and say whether we're okay or not. That is a second party. Now, the most credible, of course, is to do it through a third-party certification. In other words, those that are accredited by government bodies or an outside bodies to tell us ang ISO, ang OpenU is an ISO certified organization. That's the most credible, but you have to pay money. Hindi libre yun. By the way, today, there is only one unit which is ISO certified, ang PGH. PGH is an ISO certified organization. All the other units, hindi siya certified. Kami noon sa institute, we're trying to do an IMS. Gusto namin yung integrated management system, not only the QMS. Yung integrated will cover the environmental management system and the occupational safety and health system. So it's called integrated management system. Now, if you're going to have that, ito yung processes na dapat i-undergo. If you want to go to that route, you have to go to this process. One, you have to do a gap analysis. How far are we from the requirements of ISO? Ayan ang kailangan. So, initial audit and review. So, how far are we from that? There. Number two, you have to have a decision from management. Let's say, chancellor in our team will say, o sige, mag-ISO tayo. Why? Because it will require commitment of resources. Hindi naman talaga ito madaling gagawin. It's not a trip. It's a journey to continuous improvement. How long will it take? It really depends on how engaged is the whole organization is. If the whole organization is practically engaged, in 6 months, you can do it. Or 6 months to a year will be a good working model. Number three, you have to have a core group that will make it happen. You have to organize a group that will make it happen. And that group, by the way, should be the core team that should be presiding over the different activities to be done. Number four, you have to train everyone. Again, training is very fundamental and a success factor for really making ISO QMS work for you. So the training is there. Number five, of course, you have to have a quality manual. So the quality manual will define all the strategies, the policies, the procedures, and other. And in fact, some of this you already started. Si Ms. Pura nga, naka-ISO na format na yung kanyang mga procedures sa procurement. So in other words, it could be just a question of harmonizing it and coming up with a good quality manual. There must be a quality manual. And then, of course, you map the core processes. So this is the beauty of this. Now you're trying to discipline the different processes. You have to look at the core processes. When I talk about the core processes, this has to be segregated according to the academic process, from admission to graduation. This is going to refer to faculty, for example, from recruitment to retirement. This would refer to the publication process from start to finish. This will refer to all the operational processes that will support the academic processes. They have to be mapped so that we can really determine how good we are. Ayan na napaka-importante dito. This is mapping the core processes. And of course, you have to train our QMR. There must be an appointed quality management representative. And of course, auditors. Yeah, this is very important. Auditing is a very important process of the quality management system. What do? They determine whether our systems are adequate, whether our systems are compliant to the requirement of the standard, whether the systems are suitable to our need, whether our processes are effective, or whether our processes are risk. So the auditor is not the same auditor that we may have. This is the voice of the customer in the voice of management at the same time. So I think ang OPNU may internal auditing group. Wala. Some units have internal auditing group. Other units do not have internal auditing group. But they can be chartered to do that kind of function. Siya ang voice ng customers, siya rin ang voice ng management in order to ensure that the whole organization is healthy from the point of view of quality. Yan, yun ang function ng QMR in auditors. Now, the next step, of course, is to implement and test. I mean, make the data system work and really determine whether they're good or not. That means you have to do auditing in others. And, of course, there must be a management review. Eh, isang katutakang meetings ng UP. Alam mo, we have so many meetings. I don't know, I think, BCG, if you come, how many meetings do you have? Di ba? Ang dami nating meetings. Ang dami nating committees. Isang katutakang committees sa UP. And of course, we don't know, for instance, how they are connected with each other. Are they management review? Are they operations review? The purpose of the management review is to determine whether we're actually doing our planning, so on and so forth. Okay, tanya ha. And of course, yan, if you want to do it an external, kailangan external accreditation. Now, with the size of OPNU, which is only 108, most probably, you will spend something like, kasi ang ang external auditing nakadepend kung gaano ka-complicated, yung gaano kadaming tao. With almost 100, 108 to 120 people, you should be talking about from 250,000 to 500,000 to do the whole process of accreditation. Pero if you're talking about Diliman with about 4,000 people, that would be a little bit challenging. Pero OpenU is a good one kasi it's a small organization. And you can do it very quickly. And be a model. Ayun ang maganda nun. May model na naman ako. May model na naman kayo. Okay. I talk about the ISO. Alam na natin yung mga ano. So, what is really the ISO? ISO is a worldwide federation of national standard bodies. So lahat ng mga standards silang gumagawa. So it's actually composed of about 167 countries today. So including our own Philippine national standard, which is DTI. And ang ISO stands for the International Organization for Standardization. IOS. Kasi mas madali nga lang i-pronounce yung ISO, kaya ISO siya. So it's actually the International Organization for Standardization. For the quality, ISO 9000, ang family of standards under ISO. So, again, ulitin lang natin, to go into this ISO standard is a strategic decision. So, it's our management, it's our leadership. So, our chancellor, in our team, should really have that discussion and determination whether they want to go into an ISO-based type of system. Ayan. So, it's a strategic decision. So, it's not mandatory, ha? Hindi mandatory. Yan ang maganda dyan. It's not mandatory. You are not forced to do it. You are actually given the option. Ayan. Pwede ako mag-ISO kasi it will actually improve my processes. We'll go for it. And make the commitment. So, very important. Very important. So, ito yung model. O, lagyan na natin yung model para makita natin. Ganito ngayon yung itsura ng ISO. Ganito yung itsura ng ISO. Ayan. Unang-una, ay commitment for continual improvement. Ayan. Tapos, the most important, you start with the customers and you end up with the customers. Ayan, ang pilar. So, very important. The first step is, sino ba ang customers ng OpenU? Ayan. Makikita nyo, yung estudyante, hindi siya lalabas doon. Ang estudyante mo, nasa loob. Because students are work in progress or work in process. Our products are graduates of OPQ. O sino ba? Saan ba sila pumupunta? One of them is in industry. Ano bang kailangan ng industry? Ayan, di ba yun ang kailangan mo? So, you talk about customer requirements. And of course, you go back to them in terms of customer satisfaction. O, kita nyo, very important. Doon muna sa end-to-end. And of course, to bridge them, we have the 4 major key processes. Ano yung major key processes? The first one, management responsibility. Ano bang ginagawa ng management? Set the policies, set the direction, do planning, do organizing, and do the review. So very fundamental. What do they do? Of course, they are the one who make decision on providing resources. How many people do I need? How many computers do I need? What infrastructure do I need? What workspace should I design? O, nandito yun sa resource management. O, resourcing, right? But of course, all of these are meaningless unless you talk about the product realization processes. Ito yung mga core processes that we were talking about earlier. Ano yung mga core processes ng OpenU? Of course, alam naman natin. The academic processes, the administrative or operational processes, the support processes. Imapa muna natin yun. I have to map. O, nandito siya sa product realization processes. And they are the most important. They are also known as the value creating processes. O, so that means if your output graduates, there must be a process by which we start from the recruitment of our students to the graduation of our students. What is the map of that process? O, diba? Pag minapa mo yan, oh, fantastic. This is how we look at. And then publications. Ay, sa mga ano natin is research and publication. What is our research process? Publication process. And then, of course, the supporting processes. Procurement. How is the procurement done? Of course, we have the law, Republic Act 9184, that defines it. And so on and so forth. Kita nyo, this is basically what the whole model is. The model is systematic. Kaya nakaganyan siya because that means cyclical. Diba? Ulit-ulit. Paulit-ulit. In fact, if you want to do it in greater detail, you can do it this way. The turtle diagram. Ayan. Kasi it looks like a turtle. I hope you can see it's like a turtle. Ayan yan, di ba? If you look at the process, this is what should we receive? Of course, from the supplier. Wala nga lang dito yung supplier. Pero nandun sa dapat. Is the SIPOC diagram. Ano ba yung SIPOC diagram? Supplier, input, process, output, customer. Every process should be actually that way. Di ba yun talaga yung process dito. It gives you very clearly what you can control in the entire process. That's why it's called total. That's why yung ISO base natin is called a system. Kasi it's really total from start to finish. Using the supplier, input, process, output, customer. Asan yung mga problema natin? Nandiyan lahat. Bakit pa ulit-ulit? Kasi po yung kailangan, the requirements are incomplete. O, di ba di? Actually, katulad ng sinasabi natin, bakit yung mga sweldo ng mga faculty lagi na-delay? Hindi naman because hindi na pa-process. Kasi yung mga requirements, incomplete. Bakit? Bakit incomplete? Why are they incomplete? Kasi unang-una, siguro, they are not properly oriented on the whole process. Meron ba tayong gano'n? For example, today, when you hire a faculty, do we do a very deep orientation on them? Gans, what is the practice in Diliman? May bago kang faculty. How do we ensure that the new faculty has all the preparation for him to teach? O, bigyan mo ng half-day orientation. Tama na. 1 half-day orientation, is that enough? Definitely not. That's very far from the standard even that you do in the private sector. In the private sector, for example, just to give you some benchmark, Intel, for example, before, when they were still here, used 13 weeks to ensure that a new professional, when they are given to their point of assignment, will undergo 13 weeks of training and orientation. 13 weeks. Tayo half a day. Kasi na-assume natin, magagaling naman tayo. Of course, okay nga. But you cannot swim. Do you think you can learn to swim just in 4 hours? Hindi. Kaya dapat may mga standard tayo. Diba? Ano man talagang kailangan? So, this is the turtle diagram for the process. Diba? What should we receive? How do we know? Ayan. Only. With what? Anong tool ang ginagamit? And anong requirements? And then you do the process. And of course, ganun din. With who? Tapos, what should we deliver? And then how? I mean, this is just a generic picture. But this is supposedly the process by which we should be mapping the process. Diba? Yan yung learning dito. You can actually challenge all aspects. So you can actually determine what could be improved upon. Ang tawag natin dito is the ISO Turtle Process Diagram. Ayan, the ISO Turtle Process Diagram. Maganda to, ha? This is good. Dapat nga may quiz tayo. Di ba? Parang ginawa tuloy ano. Yan. So, how do we develop the quality system? Actually, ano naman siya? Systematic. Eh. Very systematic tayo. Unang-unang first, you start with why we exist. And the idea is for you to develop the quality policy. The quality policy. It must be articulated and really cascade down to everyone. Ano bang quality policy ng OpenU? Wala nakasulat. Maybe we know it, but as long as it's not written, it's not formal. Ayun na napaka-importante dun, ha? Dapat nakasulat. Do we have a quality policy? Wala. Kasi it's not written. Look at our website. Wala naman nakalagay. The OPNU quality policy. Wala. But we have vision, we have mission, we have core values, but no quality practice. So yun ang missing if you want to connect. Dapat may quality policy. And so once you have the quality policy, kailangan natin yung quality strategy. Yung strategy. The game plan. Game plan. Diba? Anong game plan? So dapat meron tayo nun. How the policy will be implemented. Diba? Anong policy implementation. So very, very clear. Dapat nakakaano rin. And then of course, you have to produce the quality manual. So the quality manual should really put and articulate all the quality policy, the quality strategy, the quality system standards as applied. So ano yung quality processes that we have. The quality manual should define those operating policies. Now, once they are there, you should be talking about the procedures, how processes which affect quality are carried out. Actually, tayo nakasulat na yan. Ang kailangan lang i-reformat ng kaunti at tagang lumabas yung mga quality dimension. Actually, yung SPMS natin, Mike, nandun na lahat eh. Naka-integrate, not be really taken as independent. The SPMS already part of the so-called quality processes natin. So, saan ba siya? Bakit dito, kung makikita nyo, nandito siya. The SPMS that we have will be under this measurement, analysis, and improvement. Why do you have the SPMS? Nandito siya. So, you have to measure, you have to analyze, and we have to determine whether we're going this way, we're going that way, or we're going this way. Mike, dun siya sa measurement analysis. And this should be taken in that context. Kasi kung hindi na naman, baka sabihin nyo, dami pinagagawa. But in fact, we're just putting them together. Now, hopefully, as we move forward, we will have really a very holistic way of doing all our initiatives into one. S is an improvement initiative in terms of measurement. PPB is a good example of how to populate the SPMS. Actually, dahil mo na yung mga measurement, dati, we don't even care. We don't even care those measurements. We just assume we are the best. We are the best. Of course, we have to have numbers to really convince ourselves that we are the best. Yan. So ito po yung turtle diagram natin. And of course, this is how you're going to implement. Kung titingnan nyo, hierarchical. So the documentation is hierarchical from the quality policy, to the quality strategy, to the quality process, including the instructions are all there. Including records management, by the way. The good thing about a QMS, it's the whole thing is discipline. Disciplinary yung mga proseso. And it's independent of whoever the leader is. Diba? Kasi mahilig tayo sa amnesia management. Amnesia, pag nagbago siya, iba na naman. Pero in fact, dapat yung mga proseso natin should be the same. Kung mayroon kang initiative, improvement initiative na lang. Diba? Yung running the university should be constant. But the improvement of the university is dependent on the new leaders. Diba? Ganun talaga yan. So, documentation. Bakit kailangan natin mag-documentation? Kasi because of this. In fact, the government is one of the organizations where we produce a lot of paper. We are a paper manufacturer agency. Gano'ng karaming papel ang napuproduce natin? Naku, ang dami. Because of the documentation requirements of COA and others. Wow, ang daming documentation. In fact, this is where OpenU can become the leader. Just imagine, kung ma-reduce natin yung mga paper and no more paper, wow, fantastic. But you can only do it by doing IT-enabled processes. Di ba na? Kung mawawala yung paper, wow, we will save a lot of trees. But today, we produce a lot of paper. Kita mo na, magre-reimburse ka lang ng 500 pesos, ganito kakapal yung papel na kailangan mo. I mean, that's one of the most important challenges that we have. Can we do away with all those papers? Wow, fantastic, right? Your battery is running low, Mr. Gunning. So he said, stop and sit down. Yan. Documentation. Actually, what is the meaning of documentation? Dapat nakasulat. Well, of course, documentation means hard copy, electronic copy, pictures. Diba? Pictures. Ngayon, hindi pa na-establish kung yung audio pwede. Yung mga, pag nagmi-minutes ka, di ba? Kuha ka ng minutes through audio. Hindi pa na-establish. That's why you have to define it. Kung yung audio is an acceptable medium of documentation. Kasi ngayon, acceptable, nakasulat, nasa electronic copy, nasa USB, or nasa CD, o electronic copy yan. Okay lang yan. Kasama yun sa documentation. And of course, the reason for all of this are here. Yan. Of course, the most important sa atin is yung evidence of compliance. With documentation, there is no evidence. Without record, o anong record na pumasok ka, kung hindi kayo nag-submit ng COS, kung hindi nyo pinirma, I have, di ba nakalagay sa pinipirmahan natin, that I have rendered full service, blah, 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 tapos you sign in blood, pero hindi ka naman talaga. Diba? Pero yun yung documentation na kailangan. Without that, hindi pwede. Meron nga tayong isang case ngayon na yung isang staff hindi nag-submit ng COS for the longest time. Pero sumusweldo. Paano nangyari yun? Di ba pag wala kayong hindi kayo susweldo? Yun. Tama kayo, okay kayo. But ito nga yung compliance Without compliance, hindi nga pwede. Kami ni Ms. Pura, maraming sa procurement, for example. Dami nating issues doon kasi marami palang mga bagong bataan na hindi natin alam. But of course, ignorance is no excuse. Di ba? Kaya kailangan talaga dynamic Pero kung may QMS kayo, makikita natin yan. Kasi yung QMS nagre-require that you have to review your documents regularly. Yung mga rules, in fact, may mga BOR rules na napasa, pero nobody, for instance, know what the connect of all of those. May problema. Di ba? May problema. And then we cannot really say that because we don't know, kaya hindi namin na-implement. So that's the problem with leadership. Yung sinasabi ko ng amnesiac leadership. Nakakalimutan. Pero did you really mean it? No. But the problem is we don't know. We do not know what we don't know. But if the system allows us to ensure that everything is updated, current, you can see that in fact the discipline is there. Yun ang isang very powerful na makukuha natin sa ISO. Yung updating and currency of documentation that we have. Yan, very, very important. So, reasons, ayan yung very important. Yan, clearly or responsible, assure work is done in a consistent way, assure work is done to the same high standard, and useful for training new personnel, which we are addressing right now. Kasi nga, Mike, di ba? Itong natin. Kung meron kayong ISO, what will be required is there must be a regular training needs analysis. O meron ba tayong regular training needs analysis? Wala. Wala rin tayo. And yet, we are a university. We have to regularly train and retrain ourselves. Bakit? Kasi yung mga procedures nagbabago. Yung mga processes nagbabago. Yung mga technology nagbabago. Kaya nga kuminsan si President, every time na mayroon siya, sasabihin, alam nyo, ako pa nagtuturo sa mga staff ko ng paggawa ng PowerPoint. Sabi siya, pero nagtuturo ng paggawa ng PowerPoint, mag-process ng Word. And yet, di ba, yung kailangan na kailangan natin. So why is it happening? That means kasi wala tayong formal training plan analysis. That should be done. Not only for faculty, lahat ng staff. Kasi yan ang sinasabi ng QMS. How can you assure quality if your people are not competent to do what they're supposed to do? Tapos ina-assume natin, sige, bahala na kayo dyan. Kaya nga, walang high standard. Excellence will only happen if we are assured that all the elements of doing the process is excellent. Di ba? Ganun lang naman pinanggagalingan nito. That's why, ayan, useful for training for new personnel. We have to have that kind of standards. Yeah, very important. So I hope yung ating HR to really facilitate the whole process. Ang owner dapat nito si HR. Mike, sorry Mike wala na si Mike. Yan. Di ba? Siya magpa-facilitate, di ba? Facilitate. The only way you can assure, di ba, very quality services. Di ba? One of the driver is actually a good capability building process that will continually, di ba, qualify, certify, and improve the way we deliver service. Now we're actually, recognize naman natin ngayon yan. I think the whole leadership of UP is recognizing that, di ba? Training is an investment, di ba? Investment talaga yan. Training is an investment. And among the resources that we have, people are appreciating assets. While equipment are depreciating assets, ang tao appreciating assets. The more you train them, the more you motivate them, the more they become productive and happy. Di ba? Yun pa lang sinasabi lang natin, di ba? If you're happy, you should be productive. Pero of course, it doesn't follow that when you're happy, you're productive. What we want is productive and happy. Yan. In the end. Hindi productive or happy. Dapat productive and happy. Yan. So, going back, ito na yung plan, do, check, act. Na naka-embed dun sa ating QMS. So, ano yung plan, do, check, act? Plan what you will do. Do according to your plan. Check to see if you did what you planned. And act, change, or improve the part of your plan or do that did not give you the results you intended. Ganun lang kasimple. Actually, yung kanyang working mantra, napakasimple lang. Plan what you want to do. Do what is in the plan. Check whether the plan achieves the goals. And then, do something to make and achieve the goal. So kung si Chancellor mayroong strategic plan, dapat i-execute. How far are you from the plan as of today? Yan ang dapat gawin. Yan ang sinasabi ng ISO. This is what we promised to do. Yan, parang may scorecard. You go back to the scorecard and see what can be done. Because you cannot boil the ocean, di ba? You can never boil the ocean. Kaya dapat yung priorities lang. You only have 5 fingers in your hand. Why would I promise 100 items when my term is only good for 3 years, for example? You must be kidding. Just promise this. I only have 5 fingers on my hand. Para tayo, dun sa ating performance evaluation, anong ginagawa nyo? Ang dami nakasulat. Di ba dun sa ating mga performance appraisal? Ang dami nakasulat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1%, 2%, 3%, 4%. Meaningless. Only have 5 fingers in your hand. Di ba? Gigradean ko ba kayo sa 1%, sa 2%? No. That's why yung ating OPCR, IPCR, dapat nakafocus lang kayo. 5 items will be good. Pag more than 5 items, wala na yun. You're pulling my leg. Di ba? You only have to 5 items. Very important, right? Very important. It's not the quantity, it's the quality. Right? So anong sabi? The key concept. Say what you do. Do and do what you say. Show proof that you do it and continuously improve. Actually, yun lang ang working mantra ng ISO. Do what you say what you do, and show proof that you do it, and continuously improve. Make sense? Yan. Hindi naman napakasimple lang. It's really making it as simple as possible. It is not really very, very hard. It's really about the discipline. It's really about the processes being done systematically. And it works on its own. Yan. Wow, this is mine. Yan. Okay ba siya? Of course, ito yung S9001. Ayan yung timeline, yung bagong revision will only come out in 2015. Yan, bago na eh. binago na naman yung ano, which is very good kasi dynamic nga eh. So, yung May 13, nagkaroon na sila ng committee draft, which they call as CD. In 2014, lalabas yung draft international standard, the new version. And in February 2015, they are expected to have the final draft international standard so that the new version will come only in 2015. So ano mo sabihin nito? The standard is a dynamic standard. Pag may mga bagong gawin, nandyan. And you should expect that by 2015, risk management will be an integral part of the whole. So nandito na yung risk management, business continuity. Diba? Ano sabihin nun? That come high water and low water, we will be ready. So yun ang maganda ngayon sa ano. It's very dynamic. It actually allows you to look at new developments in the area. Ayan ang picture ngayon nung ISO 2015. Yan. So that's the one. Of course, I look at this, i-open nyo natin. Andito yung inyong mga vision. Andito yung mga mission. So walang makatanda. Tingnan natin, sinabi natin kanina. The UP Open University will be at the forefront of the knowledge society as a leading institution of open learning in distance education. What's the keywords? Tama, di ba? So, forefront. Leader. Baka pwedeng i-shortcut na lang para madaling magtunduan. Of course, pag ginamit natin leader, yun na yun. Parang ang shell. Kita niyo yung shell? O ano bang shell? Ano ang kanyang vision statement na napakasimple din? Shell, the shell, the whole shell. Energy solutions for the real world. Energy solutions for the real world. Si Khan Academy. You know Academy? Anong kanyang vision? Tingnan niyo, nakalagay din sa kanya. Yung Khan Academy, which is actually allowing you to do a lot of this distance learning. O pwede kang gumawa ng sarili mong syllabus doon. Khan. Or even Coursera. Look at Coursera. Or even the open courseware of MIT. Wow, yung MIT. I can download everything I want. Ayun ba yung sa MIT, open courseware? NSED, for example, kita niyo yung NSED, yun ang NSED. Ano ang kanyang tagline na visionary? The business school for the world. It's a university based in France, but has already branch in Singapore. Pero ang kanyang tagline, the business school for the world. Ay, open yung ganun din, dapat, di ba? But this is how you're doing it like now. So kita niyo yung mission, napakahaba ng mission. Academic talaga yung dating ng mission. No? The Open University seeks to provide wider access to quality higher education. It shall adhere to the high standards of academic excellence, guarantee academic freedom, and encourage social responsibility in nationalistic commitment among its faculty, staff, and students. Kapahaba. Specifically, you has the following objectives. Provide opportunities for alternate access to quality higher education by offering BS and post-BS degree programs in non-formal courses by distance education. Develop system of continuing education for sustaining professional growth, blah, blah, blah. Contribute towards upgrading quality of residential instruction, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Haba, no? Yeah. That's so, some innovative thinking. But this is okay. We're not saying that this is wrong. What we're saying is that, sinasabi lang natin, all of this should really be resonating in everyone's heart. So how do you resonate all of this in everyone's heart? All the stakeholders of OpenU. Yeah, the vision, the vision. Tingnan natin yung requirements very quickly. What time do we have? Yeah, 10 to 12. Yung requirements. Let me go to the next part here. Yan, andito yung requirements. Yan, I separated it para makita lang nyo. Yan, kasi yung requirements nasa ganito na. If you would like to look at the details of the requirements, ito yun. So ito na yung going into details. We'll just go over fast. So ito pa rin yung kanina, di ba? You saw this. This is the model. The ISO QMS really focuses on the five major components of the model. One is continual improvement, the philosophy that underlie everything. Of course, the role of the management responsibility. By the way, the numbers represent the corresponding items in the standard. I will also leave with you the standard, the whole standard, so you can see. So we have the management responsibility. Number 6 is resource management. Number 7 is the product realization process. And number 8 is measurement, analysis, and improvement, which is the typical. If you look at this, for those of us who are very familiar with management theory, is there something different from the usual management theory? Wala. Because this is planning, this is organizing, this is operations, this is control. See? Although, the only difference is that the emphasis is on the customer. The customer is all over the place. Ayan ang pagkakaiba niya. So, what are the requirements? Ito yung requirements. First, quality management and requirements. What are the requirements? Here are they. You have to document the following processes. Ito yung minimum. You don't have to document everything. You only have to document the following processes. Number 1, control of documents. How do we originate? How do we review? How do we approve? How we deploy? How do we keep? And how do we obsolete documents? Yan ang gusto sabihin niya. Paano kayo gumawa ng document sa OpenU? Bagong document. May originator, may reviewer, may approver, may review, and so on and so forth. So there must be a documented process by which we do it. The other one is control of records. What about records? Ano bang pagkakaiba ng records from a document? What is the difference between a record and a document? What's the difference? A record is a document with data. Okay, kunyari, yung form natin, yung form lang natin sa HR. O like kunyari, sa procurement, yung PR. O yung PR form is a document. Pero pag nilagyan mo na ito ng mga data doon, na may nakapirma na, it becomes a record. The PR form is a document. Pero yung purchase request na sign is already a record. A record is evidence of the work that has been done. That's why we have to define also the record. Who keeps the record? O sino nagtatago ng mga records? How long do you keep your records? O like si Ms. Pura, pag tinignan, saan inyong mga abstract o bids? Sino nagtatago? Ano yung katagal tinatago? O yan ang dapat dyan, di ba? Of course, yung ating mga 201 file. Sino nagtatago ng 201 file? Gano'ng katagal tinatago ang 201 file? Saan tinatago ang 201 file? Who is authorized to retrieve the 201 file? Yan ang nandyan. Mga basic lang, basic. O pag nag-dispose, gano'ng katagal natin tinatago yung personal record? In opinion. How long do you keep it? How long do you keep it? Mike, anong role natin? How long do you keep your personal record? The service record, for example. Forever? Forever? Parang yung mga ano natin, accounting records. Gano'ng katagal tinatago ng COA yan? Di ba dapat meron tayong retention period? Under the system, kailan meron kayo nakasabi na itong mga records na to, tatago lang namin for this period. Tapos saan yung tinatago? Kung masunog yan, saan yung tinatago? Yun, kailangan din ilagay yun kung saan yung tinatago. Kung meron tayong ISO, talagang hahanapin yan saan yung tinatago. O baka tinago nyo doon sa maraming anay, o patay na. Patay ngayon kung sino man ang custodian ng mga records na yun. He is accountable for that. O di ba kasi ikaw ang accountable. Remember, you produce a lot of records. Parang yung sa faculty nga eh. We are supposed to keep our class records for a period of time. Pero pag tinignan mo, pag audit ka siguro, hindi mo na makita kung saan yung mga records nila. Kasi wala naman talaga nagmo-monitor. Yeah. Of course, today, di ba, nakaano na tayo? Yeah. Because of the IT, kasi yung IT napaka-powerful. Many of those things that we normally take for granted, so anytime, department chair and others has a way of doing it. Eh ngayon, na-discover nga namin sa PhilJet. So, yung PhilJet, mayroon pa tayong power to review all of things. We don't know. Hindi namin alam. O kaya nagkaroon tayo ng problema doon sa PBB 2013. Now we have a problem. Yan. So kasama yung sa internal record. Tapos yung internal audit, very important. There must be a process by which there is a regular internal audit. Ayan ang maganda dito sa sa ISO. Meron talaga siya culture of internal check. Actually, internal check. We don't need COA to tell us that we're doing it right or wrong. The government unit should have their own way of ensuring that we have it. And that is management responsibility. Kasi yung internal auditor natin, in fact, in my previous life, pag sinabi namin mayroong internal audit, everyone listens. Diba? When the auditor speaks, everyone listens. Not in UP. We even ignore some of them. When in fact, that is one of the best way by which we can see how good our processes are. Kung mayroon talaga kayo tunay na internal audit. Ngayon kasi yung internal audit natin naka-base lang sa finance. Dapat buo. Diba? Yung tinatawag na systems audit. So, that is basically what it does. Although today, the Office of the President as an internal auditor, kaso nga lang, because of its size, napakaliit, is not able to do many of the auditing functions that are required to ensure and check whether everything is actually done according to plan. Hindi niya magawa yan. And then, of course, control of non-conforming services. Ano ba yung non-conforming? Those that deviate from the requirements. Of course, as student, marami tayo. The waiver is an example of a process by which we allow deviation from what is in the policy. Yan. Wavering process. Tawag yan, wavering process. So we have that. Tapos corrective action, very important. Corrective action is resulting from audit findings. Anong corrective action? And then of course, preventive actions. So these six should really be written. Dapat nakadokumento as a basic requirement for QMS. Tapos yung ating mga key business process activities. So in other words, it is tailored to the requirement of the organization. Like ano yung key business process natin. So the key business process are in, for example, in curriculum change. That's a basic process. How do we change curriculum? How do we change courses? So nandiyan naman yan. But in this case, we would like to map them so that we can understand how they can be improved and improved and improved and improved. Yeah. And of course, the other requirement is that document control should be in place and records properly maintained and retrievable. If you look at this is one of the basic documentation requirements for ISO. Yung six items here plus the key business processes that you perform. And documentation and records should be in place. Who is the custodian of all of these? Of course, pag academic, registrar. Kaya yung registrar natin supposedly is a document control manager. Each of the different offices are also in charge. Our AO are virtually also document control manager. So they have that kind of responsibility. So very, very important in there. Now, management responsibility. Ano naman yung naka-allocate sa management responsibility? Ito yun. They are actually mandated to develop, implement, and improve the QMS. So in other words, they determine how the QMS will be developed, how it will be implemented, and how it will be maintained. So they are also mandated to formulate the quality policy, the quality objectives, definition of the responsibilities, authorities, and accountability. So very important here that each one has a very clear appreciation of what their responsibilities are, what their authorities are, and where their accountabilities are. So ARA So, kasi kung minsan, meron kang responsibilities pero wala ka namang authority. So, may problema yun. Kailangan yung tatlo pare-pareho. Accountability equals authority equals responsibility. And then, they should appoint the QMR. That will be the QMR stands for Quality Management Representative. The one who will represent the management to ensure that the quality management is being implemented on a very sustained basis. QMR yun. And the other one is that management should do a review on a regular basis. The adequacy, the suitability, the effectiveness, and the risk associated with the QMS. Ayan, mandatory yun. So itong requirements natin sa management responsibility. So very important in terms of what the requirements are. Resource management. O yan, look at the resource management. Yung resource management requires that you provide adequate human resources. So may adequate human resources. Yung ating ATF process, authority to fill, plus the recruitment, plus the staffing and everything. Ayan ang kasama dyan. Staff or personnel are competent and properly trained for assigned duties. So, nandiyan din yung process ng training needs analysis, training qualification, certification, and then continuous retraining so that they become performing. Di ba? Ito yung kailangan dyan. So, processes yan. Adequate supporting infrastructure and facilities. Like OpenU, di ba? For us to do distance learning and open source, we have to have adequate infrastructure. O anong kasama dyan? Procurement. And of course, work environment that does not affect, work environment does not affect performance. Anong sabihin nito, positive workspace? Sorry about this. It's going to be positive workspace. Everything that will make people perform in an environment that will encourage positive workspace. So lahat yan kasama. Kasi nandito ngayon yung positive work environment. So resource management is really the aspect of QMS that allows people to perform to their best. Yan. So yan naman sinasabi. So this is all about resource management. Now, the value creating process under QMS is known as product realization process. Ano ba itong kasama dito? Yung ating academic processes, instruction processes, research and publication processes, faculty, recruitment, development, and retirement processes. All about the academic process, one of them. The other one is the operational processes. The other one is the public service processes. Dapat marami yan. So you're talking about the planning, the customer requirements, customer communications, development processes, procurement, production and service operations, and control of measuring and monitoring devices. So this is the performance monitoring. So that is included under product realization process. By the way, ito yung nandun sa ito yung nasa standard talaga. This is what the standard requires. Number 8, ito yung measurement, analysis, and improvement. So ito yung performance. Mike, ito talaga yung pang SPMS. Including the PPB. Kung titingnan nyo yung PPB, ito yun. The PPB is anchored on our MFOs. Yung MFOs natin, remember? The major final outputs. Ito yun. Actually, the major final outputs. And then you look at how those numbers are in there. So meron kayong KPI, the Key Performance Indicator. And then you have the success factors. Nandito lahat yan. So, in here, we're talking about measurement, analysis, planning, measuring on customer satisfaction, internal audits, control of non-conformity. Actually, it has something to do with producing non-regular products and services. So, paano ba natin na-improve yung ating graduation on time? Paano ba natin na-improve yung ating performance sa board exam, if our board exam is one of the rubrics that we're looking at? So, dito lahat yun. And then, of course, you collect data so that it can be analyzed. And what is the analysis? So that we can take improvements. Diba? So, analysis. Like, an example of what the President was looking at he was looking at nga yung admission rate, yung sinabi ko kanina. And he was saying, bakit ang baba ng ang baba ng show? Bakit hindi natin i-guarantee na yung mga slots ma-filled up? If we admit 12,500 students per academic, make sure that the 12,500 students show. O paano mo gagawin yun? Of course, mag-overbook ka. O kaya do something in advance. Because it's a waste, di ba? Sayang. Remember, sayang yun for us. If the students are not coming, and if they are qualified, and they are not admitted, we're actually wasting resources. But if you can do something that would allow us to fill up the quota, then that will be good. Like for instance, in the College of Engineering, most of them are filled up except for one program. O sayang nga naman yung program na yun kung hindi siya filled up, if we're not able to fill up the quota. That's a waste, di ba? That's a waste. So that is part of this analysis of data. Now, if you have analyzed the data, that would be fantastic because you can really create improvements. And that would be creating so much better performance for OpenU, for example. Yeah. So yan, yung po yung ginagawa ng measurement, analysis, and improvement. You're able to produce like that. Tapos in addition, ito yung sa QMS requirements. So ito na yung mga detalye. So, di ba kanina nakita niyo yung buo. Now you can go into detail. So each of the 5 elements will require, like balikan na natin yung QMS, ito yung GMS requirements. Kailangan ng ganito. And the QMS documentation will require that we have the quality manual and the quality policy. Yeah, so you have all of these. The quality manual is there. Now, how thick should be the quality manual? In general, if you're not going to include all the procedures, dapat 25 pages lang. It is a manual that really spells out our quality policy. Right? And so, easy to do. Especially with OpenU. Yan, control of documents. Ito rin yung kailangan sa control ng documents. So, these are already details, but you can see that very systematic siya, very hierarchical. We have the 5 major areas, and for each area, ano yung mga requirements? Ayan yung mga requirements. So, the management commitment. Look at this. Ito yung ini-expect natin sa management team or the leadership team in terms of management commitment. They have to establish the quality policy. They have to ensure the quality objectives are met. They have to conduct management review. They have to ensure availability of resources, which is what? The expectation for our leadership. They actually lead. They communicate. They drive. So these are the expectations for leadership and management. 5.2, of course, they should be the one who should be presiding over the customer-focused philosophy. So that means top management ensure customer requirements are determined and fulfilled, and customer satisfaction is achieved or enhanced. So they have to establish the process by which this will happen. Diba? So that's what customer focus is. And the quality policy, ito yung kailangan sa quality policy. The quality policy should be appropriate. It should include commitment to meet customer and regulatory requirements, include commitment for continual improvement, and communicated to all staff. Communicated to all staff. And reviewed for continuing adequacy, suitability, and effectiveness. Who is responsible for this? Management. Management siya. And quality objectives in planning, ito kasama pa rin. So this is still part of the management commitment that they're actually required. So quality objectives and QMS planning. So you have to do all of this. Management review, these are the things that we do. So anong kailangan i-review ng management natin? Ayan. They are conducted at planned intervals to ensure continuing suitability. And how often should it be done? It could be done every month, it could be done every 6 weeks, 6 months, or it could be done yearly. Depende dun sa appetite ng management on how frequent the review should be. Ang requirement lang, it should be done regularly. Of course, management practice will dictate that the more frequent is done, the better. Because the cycles of learning becomes faster. Kung gagawin nyo yan every year, ang inyong cycle of learning is 1 year. So the more frequent it's done, the better. Like every quarter, so that you can make the improvement every quarter. So if you do it every year, ang improvement mo every year. So the frequency is determined, for instance, by the need and by the urgency of things that you would like to undertake. So ano yung mga review inputs dito? The audit results, the customer complaints or compliments, the customer satisfaction, process performance, and product conformity, follow-up action, changes, improvement to KMS. So in fact, even the agenda is already set, which could be done, by the way, by the leadership team or even in consultation with the other key leaders, including the middle managers. So that means kasama ang ating mga deans, mga directors, which will really engage them in the whole process. Ano mga review outputs? Of course, the improvement services in needs of the resources. Oh, maganda dito, I need 10 additional faculty. For what? For a new program. Anong program? Is the program relevant? Nag-undergo na ba siya ng proseso? So that should be part of this process. Diba? So very, very important in here. Resource management. Look at the resource management. So ito yung kailangan nandun. So this is part of our planning and budgeting process. Actually, ito ginagawa na natin. Except that, you have to put this in a more systematic way. Kung sinusundan lang natin yung ating budgeting and planning process, ito yun. This is basically what you have. The provision of resources, the development of human resources, the infrastructure, and of course, the development of the right work environment. So dito yung papasok yung yung sinasabi natin, how happy are you? So in terms of positive work environment, engagement, nandito yun. This is part of resource management. So if you look at the ISO again, the ISO QMS, resource management is inherent in any typical management process, except that the difference is this is quite systematic and disciplined. Naka-discipline process. And then of course, dun sa realization, ito yung item 7. So 7.1 really calls for the planning of product realization. The whole process, from planning and development, the quality objective, product-specific processes, document, and resources. And of course, the most important is required verification and validation. Itong dalawang very common term that we always use. Verify and validate. So, two different important activities that is part and parcel of all of this. So, ano yung verification? The process by which we determine the accuracy and the authority of the data considered or the data collected. The validation is with respect to the system being used. So, yun yung validation process dito that we have. Customer-related processes. For example, of course, the peer review process will come here for publications in faculty. That's the peer review process. But for the other process that we have, this has something to do with the customer, whoever our customers are, right? So the customers that we serve and the customers that receives all our services are in there. And customer communications, how do we communicate to the customer? By the way, this is all about marketing. Marketing the services, marketing the products that we produce, marketing all this to our publics, to the publics that OpenU actually serve. Okay, 7.3 is respect with the design. So again, it has to be tailored to the basic services that we have, from curricular design to course offerings and others. And what is being done in here is the whole process by which this is done, from complete cycle. Like when you introduce a new course program, how long does it take? How are we trying to deploy the whole process and how the whole process is actually being completed as a cycle? Ayan, dito po yan sa design and development. And of course, the support processes. Special mention to purchasing. That's the reason why this afternoon we would like to concentrate on the procurement side. Kasi we believe that procurement is a very big driver for many of our key processes in OpenU. So we're looking at it as an example by which you can systematize the whole process because it's defined by law. And wala tayong problema na dapat tayo mag-comply. And the challenge there is how do we comply to the letter without any problem. So yun yung reason kung bakit why we're looking at that. Right? And of course, yan, production and service provision. How do we provide the other services? Yan, ganun dun, the same process. The same process is actually repeated throughout. Yan po yung provision. And of course, yan, kasama ditong identification and traceability. Very important tong identification and traceability. Sinong gumawa ng dokumento na to? Kailan? Who did it? When was it done? Who was the person who signed it? Ayan ang purpose ng traceability. Diba? O, kung academic process yan, sasabihin mo, o itong estudyante na to, bumagsak. Sinong teacher? Kailan siya? Bakit siya bumagsak? Diba? So, those kind of processes has all of this. Ayan. Kunyari, merong isang example. Nagreklamo. O yan, you can easily trace it very quickly. If the system is in place. O yan, very important. So, you have to look at all of these. Ang tawag natin yan is production and service provision. But the key process here is traceability. Why do we need traceability? So that we can address any irregularity very quickly. And that is part of what we call as service provision. Then preservation of product. Ito yung mga preservation of documents. Wala naman tayong produkto itself, but we're talking about preservation of documents. So yung mga tinatago nating dokumento, how do you ensure that in fact they are protected? Oh yeah, very, very important. Yeah. And then of course, monitoring. What are the monitoring tools that we use? Today, of course, we have monitoring tools. As I mentioned, sa atin, marami tayo. Of course, it need not necessarily be equipment. Diba? So ito need not necessarily be equipment. Monitoring tool for students, monitoring tools for faculty, meron tayong set for faculty, meron tayong grading system for students, meron tayong performance evaluation for the non-academic. Yan yung mga ano. But the problem there is, ang problema natin dun sa mga sistema na yun is that wala tayong system of calibration. Hindi tayo nagkakalibrate. Kaya nagkakaroon problema si Mike. Kasi yung mga raters natin, for example, rating. How do I know that the raters are standard? How do I know that your BS is BS here? If you are not doing calibration. In fact, that's the biggest challenge today. We don't do calibration. There should be calibration. And part yan dito. If you're using a QMS, they will require you to have a calibration process. So that, when you give a score of BS, pare-pareha kayong BS. Like today, if you look at the distribution ng ano natin, Mike, look at the distribution of your performance. Tayo, ang standard natin, puro BS. Di ba? Puro BS. Pero kung titignan mo, BS ba talaga tayo? Gusto nga natin, puro BS. Of course, everyone would like to be a BS. But according to the standard, di ba? Most probably, if you follow a normal distribution, ilang percent ang nun sa normal? Sa S. Unless you really prove to us that you're really BS. Walang calibration. Kaya lahat tayo would like everyone to be happy. So if you want to be happy, I give you a BS even if you're an S. Kasi nga, walang calibration. But if you have calibration, pare-pareho siguro tayo. Diba? And that's the reason why we also have a problem for performance appraisal and even with promotion. Diba? Very important. Yan. Kasama rin yan sa ISO. Yan. Responsibility, authority, and communication. Very important. We have to make sure that we have mechanism by which we communicate to people. Like this, for example. Diba? How often, for instance, the chancellor talks to you? How often? Diba? So, how are our leadership really communicating to all of you? Yan. That's part of the process of communication. Kung talagang consistent tayo, kasi people always release memos. Kaso nga lang, sino ba nagbabasa ng memo? How many people really read memos? Kasi nga yung memos mo, one way yan. How do I know that you have read the memo? Parang email din yan eh. Di ba? How do I know that you read my email? Binuksan ko nga, pero did you read it? Hindi. Di ba? Ganun talaga yun. Kasi reality talaga yun. And you know what communication is. Di ba? Communication dapat two-way. And that is one of the bigger problems we have. Di ba? Yung communication is a bigger issue. And that is also one of the things that QMS is trying to address. How do we ensure that communications is done all throughout the organization? Diba? So, very important. Diba dapat meron kayong state of the CU address. Saan sila magsasalita? Every quarter, diba? Diba? Yan. O diba dapat meron tayong gano'n. Yan. Or even our own groups, yung mga grupo, yung mga different departments. Kasi yun what leadership is all about. We have to share the information because information is power. Diba? Information is power. If you don't know information, what do you do? Para mga leaders daw yan eh. Pag hindi nag-uusap yung mga leaders, anong ginagawa nila? Pinag-uusapan nila yung sa kabila. Diba? They don't talk about the problem, they talk about each other. Because there is no communication. Deadma daw yan eh, deadma. The silent treatment. Oh, silent treatment. Yan ang gustong ayaw dito magawa ng IMS. The QMS says there must be good and open communication so that the whole process becomes transparent. Di ba? Consistent yan. Communication. And of course, yan. These are the measurement analysis na kailangan. So again, these are the details that we're really talking about. Again, na-mention na dyan yung complement. So you would like to look at all of this because we want to know what the customers are saying. Wala nga lang tayong mga customers data today. All over the place. Mike, di pa kayo nagkakaroon ng customers? Di ba? Yung internal customers plan. And of course, kasama dito si internal audit. The audit that we're talking about, it is a very formal audit. Hindi yung audit na we don't trust you, but the purpose is really to ensure that we have a good understanding of how healthy the organization is. So very very professional. That's why, as a general rule nga, we don't allow spot audit. Parang ganon, hindi talaga ina-allow. Talagang binibigyan kayo ng time na mag-prepare. So you prepare the organization for auditing, ito yung mga titingnan, ito yung mga kailangan. Kaya pag may nakakita pa, something is already very wrong. Ayan, something is wrong with the organization. That's why dito, it's very planned, systematic, and very professional. It's independent, it's very professional, and systematic. So dito yung mga typical audit na you're just finding faults. That's not the purpose. The purpose is to determine whether you're complying, whether you're adequate, whether you are suitable, whether you're effective, and whether there are risks. And these are input now to management to assess and to determine whether they're going to take some actions in order to improve. So very, very important. Actually, this opens up a new set of professions. Ito yung mga quality professional natin, which we call as quality auditors. Quality auditors ang tawag natin dito. And of course, in addition, you have all of these processes. So you cannot just monitor without the measuring instruments, di ba? So many of our processes natin ginagawa through auditing, di ba? So yung auditing through sampling. So yung ating ginagawa dito, one of the measuring instruments we do is actually using an audit score. So meron tayong mga audit score. Meron kayong mga auditing instruments that says, okay, I will give you a score on the basis of my checklist. So pwedeng demerit system, pwedeng audit score. And very common in actual practice. This auditing is giving you an audit score. And that audit score can be agreed upon in duty, for example, na magkaroon ng ganong opportunity. So this will also include analysis of data. Very important. That's why we love statistics. Statistics is integral to the practice of this. Right? So very important. And finally, of course, yung continual improvement. We will only improve if we have to look at data. Diba? You look at the data, that will really drive improvement. Nandito siya lahat. And of course, auditing is meaningless unless you implement actions. So actions that are going to correct deficiencies are known as corrective actions. Actions that are meant to prevent the recurrence or occurrence of any undesirable event is known as preventive actions. Kaya ang inherent dito is a standard CAPA system. Ano ba yung CAPA system? Corrective action, preventive action system. So meron ka talagang corrective action. And again, it's mandatory to management that they close the issue. May close yung issue. And closing the issue means that the intent of the corrective action and the intent of the preventive actions are actually done and achieved. Ayan yung closure. So, that's the whole set of requirements para sa ISO. There is a companion in the standard. I will leave it to you. So, if you want to look at the details of the standard, it's there. So, that's all we have. And my time is 20 minutes after 12. I know you're already hungry.
Yeah, unless there are some questions. Yeah.
May questions ba kayo o gusto nyong i-digest
Mamaya.
together with the lunch?
Sure.
Sige, mamaya. Okay, siguro mag-lunch na tayo. Sabayin natin i-digest yung sa isip tsaka sa stomach.
Easy.
Then we will be back by 1:30. So if you have questions, please prepare your questions para mamaya mabilis din tayo. So we will open up with the open forum first before we proceed to the next session. Yan, nasa labas yung lunch.